In this tutorial, we will learn how to create condition inside the game. The tutorials currently being uploaded are part of a game development course I created and published on Udemy. You can get the full course from the link below the video, where you will learn how to create both 2D and 3D games by building 3 powerful and exciting projects. What does a condition mean? Let me ask you a question. When will the player lose? You will tell me when the health value equals 0. That is the logical answer. Let me ask you another question. When will the player win the level? For example, you will tell me that the player will win the level when he defeats all the enemies in that level. These are the conditions in the game. When the player loses, when he wins. We will explain this example by applying the if statement. Now, how can we add an if statement in the programming? First, we will write if like this. Then we can add parentheses, or we can choose not to add parentheses as we wish. But I add the parentheses for the sake of organization, for they are not required for the if statement to work. This means that we can write the condition here, and then we use a colon to indicate that will happen when the condition is fulfilled. For example, let's set the value of the health here to 100. Then we will remove the if statement and close ready from this arrow like this. After that, we will go to the process function to apply some examples using the if statement. Now we will write if, and then we will write the condition. We will write player health less than or equal 0. Then we will add a colon and write below this line that will happen when the condition is met. We will write print player dead. This is the structure of the if statement. We write if followed by condition. We can add parentheses here for organization, just to see the condition more clearly. And then we put a colon. Here we type what will happen when this condition is executed. Now look at the way that the code is written. We write the result inside if statement, meaning we indent inside the if statement by pressing the tab key, and write the result that will happen when the condition is fulfilled. You write the result indent from the if statement like this, but above the player's health, player health equal 100. How can we change the value of the player health to try this condition? We can expose the value of this variable outside this script by writing @export before defining the variable like this. Now the value of the variable player health is visible to us in the inspector window, and it equals 100. Now we can simply run the game, and by clicking the remote option, we can see the player in front of us. We can go here and change the value of the player health. If we set it to 10, nothing will happen because the player has not lost, since our condition is started as if player health less than or equal 0. So let's change the value to 0 and press enter key. We will find that the game engine prints the word player dead like this, and it continues to print the result because the condition is inside the process function. This means that the player has dead when their health reaches to 0. However, if we change the value of the player health to 10, we will notice that it stops printing the word player dead. If we set the value less than 0, for example, -1, and press enter, it will print player dead again. This is our first logical operation, which is less than or equal. We also have a less than operation. We can inform the engine if the value of the variable player health is less than 0 like this. Then we will close the game and restart it. It will print player dead because the value is -1. If we change the value to 0, printing will stop as we see now. If we set the value to -10, it will print player dead again. We also have other logical operations. I asked you before, when will the player win? You previously told me when they kill all the enemies in the scene. So I will create a variable called enemies count. which will present the number of the enemies and set its value to 10. Then we go below and change the condition to enemies count equal 0. You write the statement like this. Enemies count equals something which is denoted by two equal sign. Equal, like this. This condition means if the number of the enemies equals 0, that means the player has killed all 10 enemies present in the scene. In this case, we print inside the statement, player win. Now we will go above and add at export to the enemies count variable. We will see that the variable enemies count appears in the inspector window here with a value of 10. Now if we run the game, nothing will print it, even if there is one enemy in the scene. Look, if there is one enemy, nothing is printed. If we change the value of the variable to 0, it will print player win. And here we write the equal sign, equal, which is our third logical operation. We also have the logical operation greater than, and the operation greater than or equal to. Imagine that the player's health is 100. If he obtains an icon to increase his health, should we increase the health value beyond 100, which is the maximum health? In this case, if the value of the health increase greater than 100, we will decrease the health value to maximum value, which is 100. In other words, we will increase the variable's value to its maximum allowed value. I will explain this with an example. If the value of the player health is greater than 100, in this case, we will set the value player health to 100. Player health equal 100. Then we will print the value of the variable player health. Remember to print the variable name without using double quotes, as I told you before. Now let's run the game to test this. You will find that the player health is at -10. We will set it to 100. And in this case, nothing will print it because the condition will only be true if the value of player health is greater than 100. Now if we set the value to 1000, we will find that it received to the value 100 and prints 100. If we set the value to 101, it will receive the value back to 100 like this. These are among the logical operations we have covered. We also have greater than or equal to. We write greater than or equal to like this. We will take the equal sign, equal, and place it beside the other logical operators like this. The logical operator I have explained to you today is less than or equal to, less than, greater than or equal to, and equals. Sometimes you see in the games the player moves around the scene until they kill all the enemies. After they defeat all the enemies, the player characters appears, but they cannot move, and then window pop up notifying them that they have won the level. We can use the if statement here to check if the number of the enemies count is not equal to 0. We do this by using the not equal sign. We type it like this, shift +1, not, after that type equal. If enemy count not equal 0. Now if there are enemies in the scene, we will allow the player to move by printing the message print can move, meaning that the player can move as long as they haven't defeated all the enemies and won the level. Now we will save the changes and then run the game. We will find that it does not print that the player can move because the number of the enemies is 0. Enemy count equals 0. If there is at least one enemy in the game, then the player will be able to move. This was the logical operation not equal to. We have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and equal to. You write equal for equality. And we also have the exclamation mark, which we put before the equal sign to type not equal to, like this. We can also write if statement by writing if followed by the condition. We can optionally put parentheses for organization, or you can remove them since the parentheses are not strictly required for writing the conditional statement. They are just for organization. If enemy count greater than 0, then we write a colon, and after that we write that will happen if the condition is fulfilled. type inside the if statement like this.